Hey guys, this is Miss Mo. This is 11.1. In 11.1, we learn a ridiculous amount of information about geometry. Okay. First, we already learned that this intersection symbol is this mountain-looking thing, and that means the overlap, or what's in common. Union is the U, and it means count everything. Empty set is like a zero with a slash through it. And first we're going to go over all the symbols, and then we'll do some actual homework problems. But we first have to know what all these symbols and words mean. Okay, the next thing that we're going to learn is coplanar lines. A plane is kind of like a piece of paper, or a door, or a wall. That's what a plane is. It's a door, or a wall, or a piece of paper. It's something flat that, like a door, or a wall, or a piece of paper. Okay, and if two lines are on the same plane, and they're tilted, like this first example, they should cross, or they should touch each other at some point. If we have two lines on a piece of paper that look like they're parallel, they never touch. Okay, then if we have two lines that are on two different pieces of paper, or two different walls, or two different doors, they're never going to touch because they're on two different planes. That would be like a line on your door intersecting with the line on your grass outside. Those two planes have nothing to do with each other. Okay, so coplanar means it's on the same plane, and a plane could be a piece of paper. This is a plane. It's a piece of paper. And I could have another plane right beside it. Those are two different planes. Yeah, so a plane is like a piece of paper. Okay, let's keep going. Coplanar points. Coplanar points means you have dots all on the same piece of paper. Non-coplanar points means you have dots on this one piece of paper, and then you have a dot way up here on a different plane. That's what non-coplanar points mean. There's points on one plane or piece of paper. There's a point on another plane or piece of paper, but those two planes are not touching. Yeah. Okay. So the next sucker is how planes can actually touch each other. Either you have two planes that don't touch each other, and let's say we have point P on this top and point Q on this other. These 2 points are never going to touch. And the reason they're never going to touch is because they're on different planes, or two pieces of paper. Okay, if you look at these two planes, it looks like they're cutting into each other. They're cutting into each other. And these 2 points, Q and P, those are never going to touch. But where that plane cuts into the other plane, that creates a solid line where the 2 planes touch. So say this is one plane, it's a piece of paper. Then I have this plane intersecting it, touching it. It touches it at a long line. So these two pictures, these two planes, the points never touch, but the plane actually overlaps itself on this line M. This is where the plane overlaps or the two planes touch. Okay, let's see here. The next example. Let's look at the bottom down here. It says the union of two rays have the same endpoint. A ray, we'll talk about it on the next page and the next page and everything else, but a ray just looks like one point with an arrow on the end. So if I have 2 points or 2 rays, 2 arrows with the same endpoint, so you have 2 arrows, yeah, and they meet at the same endpoint, this point B is where they touch. And this is all pretty common sense, but we're just going over it. Okay, let's keep going. At the top right, we have an acute angle. An acute angle is less than 90 degrees. A right angle is 90 degrees. An obtuse is bigger than 90. And a reflex is over 180 degrees, as in it's bigger than a line. Okay, a line segment looks like 2 dots on the either side of the line. And when you write it, you write AB with just a little line on top. Ray looks like it starts at a point or dot and then it ends with an arrow. And the way we describe that is we say C with a line and an arrow over it. That makes it look like a ray. So a ray looks like a line but with an arrow on top of it. That's the symbol. Okay, and then for angle, I could say that this angle was H, and I say angle H. So that little symbol of a less than means angle. Okay, let's keep going. There's these things called dihedral angles, and they make 90 degrees, and it's when 2 planes intersect. So if we look at this picture, it looks like we have a wall. Here's a wall. And that's one plane. But then where it intersects the ceiling, which is another plane, that angle that is created in between the ceiling and the wall is 90 degrees. So in between the ceiling and the wall, that makes a 90-degree angle. And you probably knew that already, but it's called a dihedral. Okay? Skew lines are lines that are not on the same plane. So this says non-coplanar. So that means not on the same plane. And don't intersect means they never touch. So if we're thinking about this Kleenex box, and I draw a line through the height of the left side of the Kleenex box, if I drew another line upside the height of the other side of the Kleenex box, these suckers are skew lines because they don't intersect. Because they are never going to cross each other. So this up and down height, if I were to make a line through it, and then the up and down height of the other side, if I were to cross a line through that, those suckers never touch. Whereas maybe if I looked at this CD and this up and down line, those suckers touch. So these yellow lines above on the height and along the base, those are not skew, because eventually they touch each other. Yeah, so skew lines are two lines that don't touch each other, and they're on different planes. Okay, let's keep looking. The next geometry symbols we need to go, we already talked about this. AB is just a line side to side. A segment with endpoints A and B is a line side to side. Again, the length of the segment, that means how long it is from A to B. We could write it without that little line on top. So these are all different symbols. Ray means we start with a dot and then it has a line going out. Triangle means we have a triangle and the corners are A, B, and C. And then we already learned that this little less than symbol means angle, but it's the angle with vertex B. So if I were looking at this same triangle I just drew, this would be angle ABC. So if I were to trace that, ABC, this is the same thing as saying just angle B. So sometimes we're given the angle using multiple letters, and whatever letter is in the middle, that's the angle we're looking at. So ABC means ABC. B is the angle we're looking at. Or here's another way to write it with just the less than. Okay? Angle of depressions go down, elevations go up. Okay, it says an angle of depress on an object is the angle between the horizontal and the line from the observer's eye, line of sight to the object. Draw an illustration of a cliff. Okay, let's draw a cliff. Here's the cliff. On a shore. Okay, so